Welcome to this episode of the ninth grade experience. You may recognize if you're watching the video or when she starts talking, our guest today, she's been on several times. She's come back for the last couple of years around this time. We're getting ready to talk about career readiness, and she's been on some other episodes as well too, talking about some of the clubs and organizations she's a part of. And you're seeing Mrs. Grimm on the screen, one of our school counselors here. And it's almost March, which is time for March Madness and Career Month here in the East Penn School District. So Mrs. Grimm is here to talk to us about all the cool stuff that's happening in the month of March. So Mrs. Grimm, thanks a lot for joining us again.
Thank you for welcoming me back.
Mrs. Grimm, can you tell the students and the parents that might be listening to about what is Career Month here in the district and how are we doing it here at Emmaus High School?
Sure, absolutely. So the K-12 counselors had decided a couple years ago that we really wanted to dedicate a month to helping students explore different career options. We wanted them to have access to different things that they might not during the rest of the school year. We wanted to really just put an emphasis on what can they do to see what careers are out there, to get ready for different careers, research different careers, etc. So throughout the past couple years, it's kind of evolved. And, we have some of the elementary counselors doing different things like having speakers come in, doing a career fair. We have, different initiatives at the middle school, and here at the high school, our biggest push is to have career speakers coming in and talking to kids about their individual career path. Another focus of the month is obviously for students to be completing their career readiness activities. As we all know, and as we've talked about on the podcast, it is a requirement from the state that students are doing different activities to make sure that when the time comes for them to get a job, whether that is a high school job or whether it is a professional job out of college or high school, there's certain skill sets that they need to have. So the point of the career readiness activities is to get those skills built up, to make sure that they know how to do an interview so that they can land the job they want, so that they know how to fill out a job application. And so the overall focus is exploring careers and really preparing for different careers, because we know that high school goes quickly. It doesn't feel like it when you're in high school, but it goes quickly. So you need to make sure that you're ready for when graduation comes.
And we were talking before we started recording about a couple different things related to careers. It's interesting to think that like our graduating seniors this year, 2 years ago when the pandemic started. So that was like they've gone almost 2 years now of like, different options for schooling, maybe not really as focused on careers. We've talked a lot about mental health and kind of the toll this has taken on students, just kind of on a day-to-day basis. But now, we have about 700 kids that are getting ready to graduate and, moving into careers. So for students like that, or even like juniors as well, like what would you say is the importance of kind of taking that time to explore careers during this month, and not just this month but like overall, because like you just said, it is coming up a lot faster than students realize.
Yeah, I think it's so very important for a lot of different reasons. I mean, obviously, when we're talking about what to do after high school, it's a big commitment. And so it can be very overwhelming and it can be anxiety provoking for students. So the more that they do this research, the more that they see what's out there, the less anxiety provoking it can be. For our seniors, as you said, they were on Zoom most of last year and the spring before that. And so I know, talking to a lot of students, they were saying, I don't want to do more virtual tours. I don't want to do more research online. I'm tired of looking at my computer. So, being able to hear from a career speaker is something that could still be very helpful, because they're able to actually have an actual person that says, I didn't know what I wanted to do in high school either. So it took these different steps for me to get to where I needed to be. It normalizes some of those feelings so that students don't feel like, why am I the only one that doesn't know what I want to do? It just kind of helps to alleviate some of that by seeing what's out there. It also helps because, as we're talking about students, they're all different, and we know that, but they don't know what careers exist right now. And so not knowing exactly what you want to do could just be the fact that you don't know what careers are out there that could be perfect for you. So just kind of broadening horizons and getting kids to think about things a little bit differently can help alleviate some of those concerns.
And I think one of the things that you talked about is getting away from the virtual and kind of being online. This year, the shift is back to having the speakers be in person for the most part. One or two may be a virtual, and then we're going to offer on the ninth grade podcast some different virtual speakers from different things. But the majority are going to be in person. So
Yep.
why don't you let students know? And I know that you advertise this in the morning announcements and other stuff as well too. But tell the students that are watching, how can they access and learn about where the speakers are located, and then B, if I see one or two or three, or I wouldn't say go to all, like I think there's like 20 of them, like that would be quite the month, but like if you're interested in a couple of them, how do you then sign up to go to those?
Yes, we do have, I think we're at 28 right now. So you don't need to sign up for every single one. You're right, Mr. Suchko. But I'm so very excited that we're back in person, and our speakers are so excited to be back in person. So the calendar of events and who's coming is located in every grade level Schoology course. If you walk by the counseling office, you'll also see that our big bulletin board has the names and dates of people who are coming. And then in Naviance, we have all of the different speakers making sure that it says what their title is. For example, we have a pilot who's coming. And so what you would do in order to register, if you're interested in being a pilot or hearing him speak, is you would go into Naviance, you would be able to see when Ben Kohler is coming, and you would just click register. Excuse me, and it registers you for that visit. It also shows you the location, the date, time, etc. So there's multiple places that we're putting this information for students, but the actual registration itself has to be done in Naviance. Once you do that registration in Naviance, you'll get an email 24 hours before the visit that you can show your teacher to show that you did sign up for that visit, so you can be excused from class. We do have some who are coming in and talking to specific classrooms, but that does not mean that it's limited just to those classrooms. So for example, we do have a pharmacist coming from Lehigh Valley Health Network. He's going to talk to our AP Chem class, but we've moved it to be in the multimedia room so that in addition to AP Chem students, any students who are interested in being a pharmacist could be part of that visit and be hearing from that speaker. So if you see that something is in a classroom, still sign up for it, because we have worked with all those teachers to make sure that they know that other students may be signing up for that visit as well.
And I like the fact that you say there, like it's, they're coming in to talk to the AP chemistry class, but just because you're not in the AP chemistry class doesn't mean that you can't be a pharmacist and want to hear from what they're talking about. So, that's one of the cool things that, we'll kind of ask a little bit about the different kinds of speakers, but it's not just limited to like, jobs of like making a ton of money, or like it's not just doctors and lawyers and pharmacists coming in. There are jobs from all different parts of the working world, that I think it's really cool that that's part of the representation of Career Month. It's not just here are the 5 things that when you were 5 years old, everyone's going to be the doctor, the lawyer, the pro athlete, all the other stuff. But like a pilot, like you would never think to like have a pilot, and like how many kids in the building might want to be a pilot? I don't know, 5, but like just to be able to appeal to like all these different like types of jobs, and there are lots of different ones. I know that I think one of the first days one of the county executives is going to be in, and there's just like all sorts of cool like careers that you're right. I think a lot of times students don't understand, like, and we have a really diverse community, and like you think like I often do this, like you drive past like big buildings, like not necessarily Air Products, but even Air Products, like what do all those people that are inside of Air Products do? Or like you
Yeah.
drive past like on Lower Macungie Road, I think it's the Smooth On place. I know you've had some people talk from previous years, like what do like all these places have people working that have these careers, and it's I think there's a really good representation, like so to make sure you take a look at the list and the calendar on that list. But like when
Yeah.
you think about those, like bringing all those people in, like I'm sure a lot of thought goes into making sure that the group of speakers are very diverse to appeal to a lot of students.
Yeah, absolutely. What we really try and do is bring in speakers that you wouldn't otherwise get an opportunity to talk to. Like for example, we know that if students are interested in teaching, they have lots of teachers they can talk to in the building. If they're interested in being a school counselor, there's 9 of us up here that they can talk to. But you don't get a chance to talk to a pilot about how did you become a pilot? We also have tried to really think about what careers students are talking to us about. So, engineering is something that comes up. Working with animals is something that comes up a lot. So we are working with Cold Nose Lodge to get someone in from there, because we also know that, I'll use my daughter as an example. She loves working with animals, but she doesn't want to be a veterinarian. So we're trying to think of what other careers are out there where you can do what you want to do by working with animals, but not be a veterinarian necessarily. So we're really trying to, as you said, diversify who we're bringing in so that students have an opportunity to learn about all these different careers. We still have, we have our lawyer, we have our engineers, because those are things that kids are interested in. But at the same time, we're really trying very hard to also have people who are in a trade. So we have people coming from HVAC, because we know not everyone wants to go to college, and that's okay. But we want to see, like, what other things are out there. So we have linemen coming in from PPL. You can make a great living from being a lineman, and you can retire earlier than Mr. Stutchko or I. So there's lots of things that we want people to be thinking about. We also don't want anyone thinking that we're pushing just college when there are all these other great options out there. Military coming in. So we're trying to get a lot of different angles so that we're appealing to as many students as possible.
Like
Yep.
talking about like the skills that no matter what career you pick are applicable to like any job would be important to also pick up in this month of March too.
Oh my gosh, so much so. And, with the career readiness, I get a lot of kids who are like, why do I have to do this? And so, what I always try and explain is these are real life skills. So, we're always thinking about how can we connect what we're doing in school with what we're going to need in the real world. How to do a resume is a skill that you need to have in the real world. Some of the career readiness activities obviously would include the resume, but also, like, we have the mock job interview. And so being able to write down, what are you good at? What are your challenges? That's great, because when it comes time, and here at Emmaus, when we do interviews, we have multiple people interviewing one candidate. So it's intimidating. So being able to have your answers ready to go for an interview is really huge life skill. Conflict resolution is something that we ask our social studies classes to work in, because you're always going to have issues with other coworkers, with someone who works above you, works under you, whatever the case may be. How do you handle that conflict? What are your triggers so that okay, this is something that is about me. I'm not going to react to that person. These are life skills. So we're not asking you just to do fluff stuff. We're asking you to do things that really are preparing you for that next step. And even those assessments on Naviance, they're telling you what your strengths are. They're telling you what a good learning environment is for you. Again, they're not fluff. They're not there just to give you busy work. They're there so that you can learn more about yourself as a person, not just as a student, and so that you can present the best version of yourself when it comes time to look for a career. But some of them, it even talks about communication style. So I'll tell my students, whether you're in a relationship with a significant other, you have siblings, your parents, your boss, whatever, you have to know how you come across to other people. You have to know how to communicate. So these are, again, things that are not just good for the working world, but for your personal life too.
We thank Mrs. Grimm for joining us today. So now we're going to kind of make sure that everyone's very clear on where they can join and all the other stuff. You see posters all around school that show the different stuff. If you go by counseling, they have the list up there too. To sign up for everything, you go to Naviance and look for the list there. Anywhere else that they can be looking for this stuff in the daily announcements as well too. Am I forgetting anywhere?
Yep. So we'll be putting it out every week. And then just again, if they want to access the calendar, it's also in Schoology. So in every grade level Schoology course.
Now I know Mrs. Grimm is extremely busy in the beginning of month of March because she's doing this and the Schaefer the Brave event as well too. So
Yay.
you might not get an immediate response if you reach out to Mrs. Grimm for information. But if you reach out to any of your school counselors, if you reach out even to the counseling office, the ladies up there are super helpful and we'll be able to help get everything in check there. We are going to have as part of the ninth grade podcast that will be showing maybe during the advisories some edited down versions of some of our interviews with some of these career people. If you have an idea or somebody that you know as a career person that maybe doesn't fit into the career month speakers, but can come onto the podcast, you can always reach out to me and let me know. Like maybe you have a parent that has a really cool job, or an aunt or uncle that has a cool job. Like let us know. We'd love to talk to them. If they're an Emmaus high school graduate, that's a double bonus point. You get a gold star for that one. We're always looking for EHS grads to talk to as well. So yes, I am going to keep the green T-shirt on. Mrs. Grimm does not make the same promise. I like to try to do something fun for the month. So I will be wearing the green career readiness T-shirt all through March. Last year it was based on getting subscriptions and likes on our YouTube page, which actually did work a little bit. So if you go to Ninth Grade Experience on YouTube and click subscribe, hopefully we can get that number up. But I love Career Month. I think it's an awesome thing to promote here in the building. So we thank Mrs. Grimm for coming on. And if you have questions, you can reach out to either of us or your school counselors to kind of answer those. And, good luck with your career readiness activities and all that other stuff as well, too. So Mrs. Grimm, thanks a lot for joining us, and good luck for the month here for career readiness.
Thank you. And thank you for putting such a focus on this. We really appreciate it, because we do want to make sure that students are doing what they need to so that they are less stressed when it comes time to pick a career and to get that job. So thanks for being a big part of it. We appreciate you.